none, motion passed. First item is I want to invite Beth Devine and the folks from our Historical Society to come out and up and give the presentation to the board. Thank you.
Going through the public portion first.
Don't drop it, Bill.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you're right.
You want to do it after this?
Yeah, we'll do it. Let's go to special.
Don't sneeze.
Good evening.
You
Good
really?
evening, Beth.
My name is Beth Devine, and I'm president of the Wappingers Historical Society. About a year ago, a 223-year-old original map dated January 1800 was donated to the Wappingers Historical Society. It is the oldest original map we have in our collections. This map is primarily of the area east of the Wappinger Creek, showing roads, mills, and main residences at the time, as well as proposed roads. This map needed a lot of work. The funds we were granted from this town board went to preserve, conserve, and frame the original map. It was a long process to find the right conservator and to have it framed in a museum-quality frame. The map is now home, and we have picked a spot at Mizzier Homestead to showcase it. We hope all of you will come to help us unveil the original map very soon, I think September. The Wappingers Historical Society has made a copy of the map to be hung in Town Hall. And I would like to present this framed copy along with some placards, which I have, transcribing some of the text that is difficult to read. With our ever grateful thanks to you, Supervisor Thurston, and the board and the town historian for helping us to restore and preserve the original treasure. And by the way, one of those placards describes some surveying terms, so the next time you read about something that's measured in links or rods or chains, like George Washington did as a surveyor, you will now know that one chain equals 66 feet.
That sounds familiar.
So this is the map that we are presenting to you, and we look forward to seeing you have it hung in the lobby here.
Wow.
And with the money that was granted to us for this year, the Wappingers Historical Society Board of Trustees voted to purchase a display case for the lobby of Town Hall. We will also purchase archival accessories needed for a variety of exhibits. The Historical Society will create rotating exhibits throughout the year which showcase historical documents and highlight events and artifacts from the town's history. So we look forward to continue working with the Wappingers Town Board to bring increased awareness to our rich history of Wappinger residents, as well as to visitors to our community. Again, thank you so much for all you're doing to support us.
Thank you very much, Beth. Huh? What? Yeah? But just, yeah. Okay, thanks.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really great.
That's very
Okay,
nice.
so we got that ceremonial part over, then I'd like to have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed.
Let me just say one thing, if I may, with respect to the Wappingers Historical Society. As a map enthusiast myself, antique map enthusiast, this is a very special moment, not only for our town, but for our town hall to have a copy of that actual map. This is the earliest map, you said, that you have in your possession. What was the year on it? 1800. 1800. Wow, so that is very significant that we have that in the possession of the Historical Society and that it's on display for residents to see. And I know for a fact that some of the notations on that particular map are significant and have meaning to many folks in this town. So again, my thanks from my position Oh, you have it? Okay, you have it actually transcribed.
We have some of these where
Oh, nice,
Yes,
very nice.
very nice.
God bless you, good, nice.
Well, certainly, this partnership with the Wappingers Historical Society has been strengthened over the last 365 days, certainly. And to hear you say now that your organization is going to give back to the town and its residents by providing an historical case here in the town, that's going to not only promote your organization, but promote our town. And I look forward to our relationship strengthening even more as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
It's very
Okay.
nice.
Grace, come on up.
Good evening, I'm Grace Martin. I live at 52 Fieldstone Loop in the village of Wappingers Falls. Just talking about the Historical Society for a second, I just want that team to know that because of the presentation to the board that you did last year with this map, that's the reason why I joined the Historical Society. So again, I welcome you to come occasionally because I am a new member and I've talked about other members joining because of it. And it is a fun group. I've gone to several of the talks, so it's a fun group. Even though it's alcohol-free, it's a fun group. Things I'd like to talk about. Yeah, I'd like to thank the Buildings and Grounds team. I know it has been a challenge, but the Senior Society really thanks you for putting the water spigot out there. I know it's been a struggle, but it's really very, very handy. And I also appreciate that you spent the time putting a ADA defibrillator in the senior town hall with the help of the town board. Thank you. Those are important things to do, and I think it lines up very well with it being Senior Week, and I want my copy of the resolutions because I was somewhere else today. But again, I really want to thank you for that work, and I want to thank Jessica and Dot in the past and Donna because they really do a great job. I mean, they work well with me and the Wappinger Seniors Association, which I am a board member of. As you all know, I'm part of the Garden Club, the book club, where I've met some people, even from the Historical Society. Some of their spouses are in that, so it's really nice. So again, I'd like to thank you for that. And the only other question I have is in number 2. It's appointments to the planning and zoning boards. I don't kind of understand what that means. I mean, I read some stuff in the newspapers, and I don't want to make notion to that. But what's the appointments to the planning and zoning boards topic about? Because we won't hear the discussion until after you close the public session. So what is that about?
So what that's about is we have a couple of openings.
Okay.
Or reappointments that we need to do this year. We haven't done them yet, so we need to fill those positions.
Okay,
So we have one on planning, one on zoning, one on Board of Assessment.
okay, great, thank you. Have a great day.
Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close?
Make a motion.
Second it.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. Okay, the next item is exactly what, Grace has raised, appointments to the planning board and zoning board.
Can we
So-
also include the Board of Assessments, which we
Yeah, sure.
just...
So I'll make the first one. So we're looking at the Zoning Board of Appeals. As we said before, there is one opening. Currently, it's David Barr on that position. I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint David Barr to a 5-year term. Again, he's a current member today. He's doing an outstanding job as a member of the ZBA. And so I'll make the motion.
David does not want to be reappointed to that. He wants to be appointed to planning board.
When did that come up?
During our discussion.
No,
With
he's,
the
I
interview.
asked him point blank if he
Yes.
would be accepted. And he said yes. So I don't know what's changed, but
No,
maybe he
he's-
only told you.
He's indicated
But the rest
that
of the
a number
board, I
times.
asked him specifically.
Why don't we move to table this for the moment, get through the discussion items, and regroup, if that's okay?
I don't
That's
think
fine.
there was a second, so
Excuse me?
I don't believe there was
Excuse
a
me?
second.
Right, so there's no... Right,
No, but I'm just saying that there
I made
wasn't a
a motion
second on
and
the
a
motion.
second.
right, so he made a motion, there was no second. I'm not trying to block the motion, I'm just making a motion that we table it.
Table it.
So, but I will yield to the council member.
Okay.
It's up to you. Is there a motion?
So we can second it, since he brought it up.
Right, you could second it, but then I can move the table,
Right.
which,
So. The table takes precedent. Okay, so it's tabled.
I'm just trying to
Table the
simplify
whole
this
thing and talk
process,
about
so
it.
I'm just trying to simplify the process so that we can work out the disparities, regroup, and be able to get it accomplished, perhaps after we get through the regular business, if that's okay.
Is the motion second? I second.
And this was just a motion to table it till later on in the
Yeah.
meeting, that's all.
Is your
All in
motion-
favor?
You okay with that?
All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
So you don't want,
What's that? I'm a no. Right. That's fine.
All right, all we're doing is pushing this back a little bit, that's all.
okay.
Yeah, just push it back.
I got it.
That's all. So, we do, in my opinion, need to move forward on at least one of these appointments tonight because we just had an interview that I think we have consensus on. But I think if we do them all after we get to the resolution, it may be better to do that.
That's fine.
We've been talking about these things for 6 months now. 6 months.
I understand.
You know, they were supposed to be reappointed earlier on in the year. We can, certainly since you guys agreed to table, that's fine, but, you know, we need to move forward.
Understood.
I agree.
So we'll get it done when we get done with the rest of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Next item is this NINM statute based in fundraising.
So I'd asked for that to be discussion because we had authorized 25,000. It's a $75,000 cost, and I just wanted to know where we were with the fundraising efforts. Do we have any idea of that?
No fundraising efforts right now. Nobody's come up to volunteer, but we have some time.
Okay.
You know,
I
since
think-
it's been summer, you know.
Yeah, I think the point of that, and I understand where you're coming from, the point of that motion, I think it was the last meeting, right? It was
Yeah,
like 6 weeks
a month
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
We did that in July because we had to indicate to the sculptor some level of interest to move forward.
Right.
But I agree, we do need to develop a plan on how to finance this, utilizing fundraising dollars. And I think that's something that needs to be a priority as we head into the fall also.
We said at the last meeting we'd do 45 to 60 days
Yeah.
to find funding for it.
That's right.
In addition to $75,000, that does not include the base of the statue. So that's in addition to the $75,000 that's on their invoice. So we need to discuss that as well, because it's going to be more than $75,000.
Sure. That's my concern. If we send a check for $25,000, I'd hate to see it go away because weren't able to fundraise.
Jim,
agree
I
with your
think
point.
I asked you also for documentation on this.
Yeah, so
I haven't seen anything.
I have not received anything, so,
There's a one-page,
right. So if you want to
I have to
circulate
find
to the
it.
board. Okay.
find it.
Okay.
Because the clock is ticking on this.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a 45 to 60 day timeline, that wasn't realistic based on the fact that we haven't had regular town board meetings because of the summer. So, again, I agree with your point. I think that we need to look at this in the fall and have a finance plan on this because it's important that we not utilize taxpayer dollars on this. That was the intent. The intent was not to be using tax dollars on this.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I also believe we should have a committee established for this. You know, whether it be a committee of the whole with some additional people, or whether it be a specific committee that has a background in this type of, you know, artwork. I think we should discuss that offline and come to a consensus on who can be on that particular committee.
And
Well,
we,
I think the bigger idea is, or bigger question is, are we committed now to the $25,000 we use for Parkland Trust?
yes, it's been paid.
No, it hasn't.
I believe it was,
It is.
there is an agreement. Okay, we authorized last time to pay it.
There is a resolution.
There is a resolution.
We have not paid anything yet.
I was supposed to.
All right, I don't know the status of when checks are written, but the point is, we had a resolution that indicated our intent collectively as a town board. Again, that was probably the first and the only meeting at the beginning of July, so we'll have to have further discussions about that.
Okay, Mr. Tremper, speak on the order.
Give you an idea what it looks like.
Wappinger's ditch.
You seen this?
Looks like everything else around here lately.
So,
Could walk across.
you know, to answer your, if you were to go ask me in January what our daily flows are at the United Wappingers Water District, and I'll use that as a symbol for all the districts, I would say to you it's 900,000 gallons a day. If you were to call me at the end of July, this past July, our average daily flow for the whole month was 1.35 million gallons per day. So you're up about a little over 400,000 gallons a day average. In August, so far, we're averaging about 1.5 million gallons per day. So our tanks are full, our wells are holding their own, but there's only so long this can go on. You know, it's been dry, you see the creek, we check the wells every day to see where they are. In the last 2 weeks, they've dropped about a foot over the Atlas. Our transducer is located about a foot above the intakes of the wells, so we have about 4 feet of water over the intakes of the wells. So, like I say, we are holding our own. We're not in any kind of a, you know, DevCon situation where we have to put mandates out and, you know, ticket people who are watering their lawns. The village of Fishkill and the town of Fishkill has put recommended water bans for their community, outside water bans for their communities. That encompasses the Watch Hill Water District, which is in the town, and the Fleetwood Water District that's in the town. So my thoughts are that it's kind of hard for us to put a water ban on for 2 of the 3 water districts we have. That makes it complicated, and I think it's probably a good time to put a, you know, like a voluntary water ban, outside water ban for our big water district.
I totally agree with you. As the residents in the audience, I'm sure you have all seen that our lawns look like
Straw.
we live in Arizona.
Yeah.
It is not getting worse. I've lived here my entire life. I've never seen it this bad. I have constituents coming to me saying their wells are going dry. And it's not getting any better. It is a drought time, so we need to work together as a community, that we take care of each other and that we don't waste the resources that we have, especially the people that have wells. And I look to the community to partake in this. We should put something out on the website saying it's our community, the water situation is not good, as you know. It's out in the news, it's all over. I think it would be prudent to be proactive instead of waiting for something to happen.
And I think it's good for the people with their own private wells to make them aware, to be careful what they're doing with their water.
Well,
I
hopefully-
think we know.
Keep in mind that, you know, it's a difficult situation, but 20 years ago, we would have been out of water. 5 years ago, we might have been. You know, you guys have put a lot of money into our infrastructure and our wells, so it's a good that we are where we are. And, you know, unfortunately, there's not enough water to make lawns green again. You know, you need rain. And lawns, I'm not an expert on grass, but they will come back when it rains. It goes dormant.
The lawn is irrelevant. It's water for cooking. It's the water for washing. That's what I'm referring to, not the lawns. I could care less about my lawn. I'm worried that I'm going to turn my faucet on and I'm not going to have any water, just like some of my constituents.
Mike, we know the 9D corridor has been struggling the last few years. How are they handling now? I mean, are you getting any reports of the,
So.
we know we're doing emergency hookups, we know a lot of that.
We have not heard anything from Montclair, which we did a few years ago. They've done
Okay.
a lot of work over there. I did, you know, the health department has asked me to give them updates on our system. I haven't heard any updates on Montclair. That's the only
We
one.
talked to Regency at all about conserving water?
Yes.
Yeah, they're watering, I'll call him the watering guru, Ralph, is very in tune to what we're doing. He's trying very hard.
And Mike, I commend you. You are the best at what you do for us. And if you could do a rain dance, it would be even fabulous
You
to
will
help
wanna
us
see
off. Okay. You know,
You did one today, but-
unfortunately, we're in a bad state, and we need to all work together to get through this.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little rain today, they're forecasting some rain tomorrow, and I'll update you as things
Thank you.
change.
Also, a side note for this, I know there was discussions on the finishing of the New York City hookup. Is there anything for emergency? Is there anything more
Not
on
yet,
that yet?
no, we haven't completed the contract
Okay,
negotiation. They're still working on it, so it's not,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, plus, my understanding is in order to hook up to New York City, we'd need to build a treatment facility.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're
Yeah,
willing to sell us some property right across the street for that purpose, but
And-
we haven't had that discussion.
And that, you know, that's actually a very, very good thing, because, you know, the long-range plans for wells, we don't know. you
Right.
know. But that's a good thing, very good thing.
Thank you.
So just to be accurate, we did have a conversation offline with respect to conservation voluntarily within the town. The town board members agreed that our messaging should indicate that we are asking residents to please conserve water, whether you have your own well or whether you're part of the water system. It's in all our best interests to be taking those steps right now. From the perspective of the New York State DEC, in my daytime job, we are monitoring this very actively. Right now, New York State, the area that we're in right now, still remains in a drought watch. And the drought watch is the definition, the first of 4 levels of the state of drought advisories. It goes watch, warning, emergency, and then disaster. So we're still in a drought watch at this point. However, there is some discussion about that being upgraded if we don't receive enough precipitation over the next, week or so, depending on how much rain we get. I mean, the rain that we got today was just, a very little amount. I mean, it may seem like it was a lot, but it's not going to make a big difference. So for folks that are using water for purposes that may not be for the betterment of the community, my recommendation would be now's not the time. However, I do have a number of neighbors that are watering their lawns every single day, and, we can only make these recommendations.
Right. Mike and I have worked on an announcement that we'll make as a result of the board meeting.
I
So-
believe Shokin is at its lowest level, am I right?
Pardon me?
Shokin Reservoir is at its lowest level?
You know, I'm not that familiar with the New York City Reservoir over there, although we do run systems off it. I know the front basin is low, I'm not sure.
It's very low,
Yeah,
yeah.
the back basin, I'm not sure of the status
Yeah,
of
it's
that one.
not good.
So Dick, you're working on something that you're going to put on Facebook, town webpage about conservation? Putting a letter together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Just for perspective, I happen to work next to the Fallkill Dam on Creek Road, which, the Fallkill runs through the city of Poughkeepsie, and residents that have lived there for 40 years have never seen the dam dry, and it's dry.
Well, something really scary is if you go to Beacon and you look at the falls in Beacon, I have never seen it like that, where you can actually count the bricks.
So that kind of
Ever.
gives people some
So this is bad, this is
tangible
serious.
perspective.
It's been dry and it's been very hot too.
It's, exactly.
Hot, too.
So, thank you,
And,
Mike.
the residents, they're using 500,000 or 600,000 gallons a day at this point for outdoor water usage.
Yeah.
So they're enjoying it so far, so that's a good thing.
And Mike, from the whole town, they should know that you are our water guru. You're the man, and we would be in serious bad trouble if we didn't have you, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
If
Mike.
you have anything, always call me
Yep.
anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Light Star Solar Farm proposal. Come on up.
But that's at the bottom.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Capello. I'm an attorney with Jacobus and Gubitz, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant. We submitted a petition back in May requesting that the board change the zoning designation for a property on I believe it's 189 Myers Corners Road, from R40 to R80 because the R80 does permit solar. The property borders the R80 zoning district. I know the applicant's representative has been at a couple board meetings since then to further discuss the specifics of the project. I think the last speaker was a good lead-in as to what the need for taking measures to address climate change, because all of us are experiencing that it is real and it's coming faster than we even expected. One of the great benefits of what the applicant here is proposing is this will be an agrivoltaic and include a farm plan to continue the agricultural operations. And research is showing that the combination of dual-use systems with agriculture actually reduces water consumption to water crops, because the panels do some shading. So there is, this is a win-win situation where we are in the process. Your attorney graciously provided me copies of the local law, which would be the next step, would be to introduce the local law and set a public hearing to get the public's comments on this law, and then hopefully consider adopting it. Then the applicant would proceed to the planning board for all the other necessary approvals.
Any questions?
Just maybe Barbara or Jim could answer. I was reading something in the Association of Towns regarding farming and stuff like that. Why, instead of going from 40 to 80, why didn't we just use like special use permits or site plan regulations? Is
It's
there,
not permitted in the the property is currently zoned R40, so it's
Right.
not a permitted use in R40.
okay,
It is, solar farm is a permitted use in R80.
okay.
The only thing that's permitted in R40 would be solar panels as an accessory use. And in that case, the square footage of the panels cannot be greater than any of the buildings on the site. But in this case, there is no buildings on the site. So it's on a vacant piece, any solar installation is considered to be a solar farm. So our code distinguishes between solar panels as an accessory use and solar farms as a primary use.
Just a quick question, or a couple. Where would you dispose these solar panels when they go end of life? Like, is there a place that actually collects these? Because after so many years, like, technology changes, you're going to have to replace those. So,
Yeah, I believe your code and most codes have decommissioning bonds that protect the municipality, and my understanding is that a good portion of the system, the brackets, or there's a better word for them, I'm just...
Mounts.
Are recyclable, as is the glass components of the system. So there will be a full report to your planning board to discuss how it would be done. Sam would be the more appropriate person, to speak with that, to be honest with you. But I know there are plans, and a whole decommissioning plan will have to be submitted to your planning board as part of the planning board review.
are you just leasing the land?
Don't know if they're purchasing or
No, I
purchasing
believe they're
as a
leasing,
property.
they're
Yes,
renting that property.
Right.
So, because my question is, at some point in time, if you decide not to lease it anymore, you're going to put the property back to the original, state that you found it in?
Yes, that's
Okay.
also part of the decommissioning plan,
Okay.
is to restore it. In most of I from time to time represent farmers or other landowners who negotiate the lease, and that's one of the things that you do look at, is to require that it be restored to substantial. Obviously, if there's vegetation removed, it will just have to grow back naturally. But it would
And then
have
from
to be
a
restored.
battery storage perspective, you're going to use the place that's over by Laredale that's closest to it, so you'll be able to store the energy there?
Well, there's no battery storage proposed with this plan. It would go into the grid.
Okay.
Who are you going to sell it to?
It would go to the grid, and it would be community solar, so I don't know if you get notices, I do from time to time, of different companies that come that if you don't have the capacity or the sun exposure to do it on your home, you could purchase electricity from the community solar at a fixed rate, and it would then, that would be dedicated to your use. The utility companies are really a distribution company, so your electricity would be generated by the solar field, so you would be helping to promote solar.
I just want to make sure the public understands
Yes.
how this may benefit them, and I'm not sure, I don't understand it
So with-
fully.
with-
So it would be good if the public and who's
Sure,
watching
yeah,
on
that'd be-
TV understands
So
the
the
pros
way-
and cons.
The way the community solar programs work is anyone within the service area of
Right.
Central Hudson can contract to purchase that energy. So it's not just limited to, that's the way it works, because electricity is a fungible commodity. Once it's in, you can't specifically say the energy's going to go from this solar plant to that building over there. It just goes into the distribution system as a whole. And the way New York State Public Service Commission has regulated community solar, it goes through the service area of whatever the utility is to which the project is attached to.
Any questions from, so it's clear? Okay.
And if that's a question, once again, tonight, we're just asking that you consider the public hearing. So if that is a concern, I will make sure we come
Well,
with,
I
more
think it's good to
specifics
get it out
as to
there.
exactly what the town of
Right.
Wappinger's residents would.
Well, I think it's
would see.
important so
Yes,
people
sure.
can start
Yep.
formulating any questions they may have.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
We'll
you
have the
very much.
resolution later on. Okay, Steve?
Thank you.
Thanks.
A while back, the Chevy Impala staff car was decommissioned due to its condition, and we had looked into getting replacement vehicles. They had been unavailable. I've been posting solicitations on a monthly basis with New York State OGS, and just Friday had finally came up with some responses to that solicitation. The vehicle would be a 2023 Ford Explorer, equipped very similarly to the two that we have here. Would have a V6 engine, the Bluetooth connection available. It's a base model unit, and the low quote on that was the 35,849 number. These things have been scarce to get, and my suggestion is, if you are interested in moving forward, that we move on this quickly.
This is a fleet vehicle replacement, is that what this is?
No.
No.
What is this for?
To replace the Chevy Impala was one unit that needed to be replaced.
Right. but what's
The
purpose?
second vehicle, I'm not sure what the assignment was, but I was asked to get two vehicles quoted. And
Okay, so the purpose of the vehicle is for the staff to use for
Yes, correct.
deposits, things like that,
And
right?
Tom Barr especially as well.
Okay, and Tom Barr for, in what capacity?
Is a tax,
He's
data
a-
clerk.
Tax
He
data clerk.
does the
He does all the-
inspections for the
yeah.
assessor.
Okay, so we need two vehicles, is that correct?
The other one was for Steve, the
No, well,
truck.
my vehicle, I was looking for a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I thought that was, the second Explorer would be the supervisor vehicle.
No, I don't need one.
Okay, so we only need one then.
Right.
Okay, so I believe we do need to replace that vehicle. Obviously, it's been taken out of service, and I know vehicles are scarce to come by right now. The fact that we have Ford Explorers in our fleet and also the other Ford, I forgot what it's called, Ford Escape.
The town patrol vehicles are both
Yeah.
Ford Explorers.
Yeah, so I think it would be prudent for us to be consistent with that from a maintenance standpoint. I don't have an objection to purchasing one of these vehicles at the state bid price, $35,849.38.
I agree with that.
I'll second it if you're
So-
making a
Okay, so
motion.
I'll-
Purchase one
I just want to make
vehicle.
sure I had consensus, so I'll move it.
I'll second
Second.
it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed.
I'll
That's
get
just-
that in ASAP.
So that's just to clarify, it's one vehicle,
Right.
35,849.38.
Just one.
If you,
Right.
for purposes of the motion, can you amend to add source of funds?
Yes, move to amend that this come from a fund balance, unless there's an objection.
No, second it.
It's fine.
Very good, I'll get on it right away.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Steve.
Thanks for doing the research. I know it's not easy right now with vehicles.
Has the highway garage been doing our maintenance on our vehicles? Do we know?
That's who's, my understanding
Yes.
is.
They have.
Well, Steve does some maintenance.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was wondering if the highway garage is doing our maintenance on our vehicles.
On the staff vehicles here, yes. I do the maintenance on the building and grounds vehicles.
Okay.
So what are we doing? I don't know if the lease vehicle, we still have the lease vehicle for Toyota?
We turned that in today.
Okay,
Yeah, but I'm getting a lease quote
okay.
from them on another vehicle that right now looks like it would be 12,000 miles a year, no upfront deposit. We're waiting for what the lease price would be, so that's why I don't have it to present tonight.
Okay. I just wonder what we're doing with that.
That would be for the pickup truck. Remember, I got, for 1 month, from Toyota.
Okay.
A lease vehicle, no cost to the town.
Okay,
The only
And then-
reason I'm asking is, we're talking about purchasing things, right? Instead of doing a lease, does it make more sense to purchase something? We talk about it at the next meeting, it might be,
Yeah,
make more
talk
sense.
about it next meeting.
Okay,
But I'll have a proposal.
okay.
Thanks. Okay, Tim, on the grant updates?
Sure, thank you. So, we're moving forward on the grant submission package. It's due September 9th. So far, working with Scott Williams and my team, we've got SHPO sign off. Scott Williams working on the smart growth form. On the agenda tonight are common resolutions, to basically go to grant application, one for water, one for sewer. We've sent out lead agency coordinator review letters. It's another one of the requirements, so we have to send out a letter saying, these are the projects the town wants to be lead agency, and we give other agencies 30 days. So the 30-day window is up Friday of this week. So, if nobody comes out of the woodwork saying, no, we don't think the town should be lead agency, which is unlikely, we can proceed on the lines of a coordinator review. We've suggested a special board meeting on September 6th, so that would be the finalization of seeker, finalization of the bonding resolutions. I know Jim's been in touch with
Doug?
Doug Goodfriend, right? So we've got the language formulated, so, we'll be able to share a complete package ahead of that meeting on the 6th, but that would be the final sort of acknowledgement. And then we need to make the submission no later than September 9th, but I don't suggest we wait till the last minute
No.
because systems have crashed and whatnot. So that's kind of where we are. We're just trying to move through the checklist on these items to be submitted.
Okay, thank you.
So with respect to the bond resolutions, one of the things, and Tim and I just had a discussion, the overall project has pretty large costs if you were gonna do it all in one shot. And the grants are limited to $5 million per year. So, we're gonna have to break down the projects into sub-phases in order to maximize the grant funding. So the limit is $5 million a year, or 60% of the project cost, whichever is.
So the sewer side, that requirement is good for 3 consecutive years, but on the water side, it's a one-shot deal.
Okay.
And we've already structured everything to be in phases, so I just want to be clear that while we're going for the gusto, when you go for the grant application, we may not make it all the way through the proposed alignments and things, but the idea is that you're starting to build this ladder of extension, so over time, And there's also other grant sources to apply for. There's the commercial district aspect that we have some letters of interest, and then I reached out to Lee Felshin and requested a letter of endorsement from the health department. Lee was away last week, but I expect, based on the call that I got, that we will get a letter of endorsement from the health department. So I think that's a good indicator that, it's a
So-
recognized need.
So just as an example, just say the total project for water is 15 million, making numbers up. and you get 5 million or 60% that Jim was talking about, you've got to set up in phases so that, say, phase one may only be 8 million of that 15 million. You may get enough to cover basically all of it, so it would be a small amount that we would need to, I guess,
That's the idea, is like you'd have to fund, again,
we'd have to
talked about-
fund it,
Again, you're never gonna get
100%, I get it.
100%. The maximum is 60%.
Yeah.
Or $5 million, whichever is less. Whichever
Hopefully.
is less.
Less.
Right.
Okay.
Now, they haven't given out any of these funds yet, right? They're still.
No.
Well, the feds are starting to release the money, so that will start coming down to the state.
And this is actually a program that's been in place for a few years, and it's unclear where some of the additional funding is going to go. So there may be more funding that's coming out.
Right.
So
Maybe.
that's kind of one of the
Yeah.
things that you can mix and match, but,
And that's why we want to get it in.
Right.
So, for both.
so, and then one of the things is, which this program has, which some other programs did not have. So looking at out years, this program permits to get funding for projects that were commenced but not completed, which is a little bit different than other programs that are out there. But, so, in maybe next year, if that's still on the table, we may look at that for some of the ongoing projects that are out there, particularly for Tri-Muni or, Fleetwood or some of those projects, so. But, again, this one, I think we're set up pretty well, because the deadline came pretty quickly, and a lot of people are scrambling, to get, stuff in, and we've been working on getting grants, for these projects, so, I think we're situated better off than other municipalities.
Is there a timeline when we may know when they're actually going to give us the
They usually
grants?
announce like the
December.
first or second week in December.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay.
That's when we heard before.
And then the bond resolution that we would adopt at the next meeting is going to be contingent upon doing the district extension proceedings. So the district extension proceedings would, cover water and sewer district extensions. We would probably be doing those by town board resolution under Article 12C, which is subject to permissive referendum. And depending on the amount of the grant money, we may or may not have to go to the Office of the State Controller for approval. So it's, but EFC has said that the final bond resolution is not due until 6 months after grant award.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jim. So tonight, do we have in our resolutions for the special meeting as well?
Oh, no.
No, we
Okay.
don't. but-
So let's remember
Yep.
to do that at that
So there's
time.
2 resolutions here, one for water and one for
One for
sewer,
sewer.
to authorize the grant applications.
Okay, thanks. Jim, the next item, 9, is yours relating to town record keeping.
So one of the things with respect to record keeping, recently the open meetings law has changed, and now there's a requirement that the town maintain the minutes of meetings and agendas on the website. We've been doing that for years with Minute Track on the town board side. On the planning board side, it's been started, we've had them posted for a while, but again, it's not in the same Minute Track system. And primarily it's done by just links to documents that we have on the server. So with respect to that, so the requirement would be for the planning board, for the zoning board of
Right.
appeals, for the
Board of
assessment review. So those meetings, we have some historical records that are filed in the Laserfish system, but not all of them. And, there's a requirement that resolutions for the planning boards and zoning boards get filed with the town clerk's office, but not the minutes. So the proposal, so one of the options that I think that town board should ask to be investigated is whether or not it would make sense for the planning and zoning board to switch over their minutes to Minute Track, which we already have. Also, there's another product that Laserfish provides through E-codes. So the E-code system also has an ability to track minutes. And we also use Laserfish, as an online repository for, historical documents. But, so that's one of the things that, right now, the minutes and things are there. They're not as easy to find. It's very difficult to search them. It's basically, you have to know what you're looking for in order to find them, because they're basically filed by project name and then by resolution number. So.
I think Craig Roberts would be a good person to bring in on this.
Yeah,
And he should be involved in whatever we decide and
Yeah.
what our systems are capable of doing.
I don't know. Joe deals with Minute Track, so I'm not, I don't know if we'll have to look at the license with Minute Track, whether or not.
They can get their own license.
Right.
You really can't commingle
Right.
systems.
No.
Because then you're getting each other's way. And it costs the same amount. The same with the laser.
Right. So I think, yeah, and do we pay by seat? Is that how it works? Is it seat license?
Yeah. They have their own system.
Right.
Are we posting the videos from the planning board and zoning board of appeals meetings?
They're on YouTube, and then there's a link
Right.
on the webpage to them, but it's not, it's on the webpage, but it's not I don't think it's as.
Well, it's not, it's not the same platform as the town board, but I know there are other towns in the state of New York that do use Minute Track for planning board, zoning board,
Right.
and a number of other boards. And Minute Track has always been valuable because you can link the resolution
Right.
to the part of the meeting that it's being
Right.
discussed. And then when you click on the resolution in Minute Track, it'll bring you to
Bring
that
you-
part of the
right.
meeting, which is good. My understanding is under the new laws, if you are posting the unedited version of the meeting, that may satisfy the requirement moving forward
Right.
until you can determine a better way to do it. I think everything would be more organized in a Minute Track fashion. However, it's going to require, as you said, getting additional licenses and budgeting discussions, I think.
Exactly.
For now, to satisfy the requirement, if we have the meetings posted in their entirety, easily viewable by the public, that's a very transparent way to do it at this moment until we can develop the process that's going to, be the best
Support
approach.
this, right.
Because it's never cheap when you're dealing with these platforms.
Right, and I think Craig would have valuable input for this. So he needs to be included in whatever we do.
My fear is if we go to E-code for planning board and zoning board, and we go, Minute Track for town board, and,
You have too many.
it gets confusing for the average resident to figure, let's face it, many residents don't know the difference between any of the boards, and they're just
Right.
looking for something, and on Minute Track, you can search keywords, and it comes up with the whole list of options,
Right.
The one thing is that basically, Joe, the information that's on Laserfish is basically stuff that predates Minute Track. Would that be fair to say?
2016, Chris Massey sent me a card. We went to the Association of Towns trade show, and I sat over there, and he said, Chris, I'm getting that, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. So we got it all at the same time. It was excellent. 2006 in the summer. And Chris did a great job.
Right.
But the
We
historical,
got it historically at the same time.
yeah, the historical minutes are different than the minutes that we do now. Chris spent, months and months scanning all that
Into
into,
the
Right.
right, into the system, so that if you go to historical minutes,
It goes back to 1904.
which is accessible through, you can go through the town clerk's website
Right.
and get to historical, but then 2006 moving on, it started out with just audio, right? And then we started with the camera right there on the side, and then we evolved into where we are today. So
Right.
Correct.
I think in a perfect world, having the same format for, that we have for the town board meetings, having that for the planning board and the zoning board and whatever other public meetings we have, that's the way to go, in my
I
opinion.
believe.
But we
I
can't flip
agree.
a switch and do that overnight. That's
No.
gotta be something that's budgeted for, town clerk's gotta be involved in that, so there's no inadvertent commingling of files.
Right.
Well, yeah, they would have to have.
Yeah, they have their own domain,
System,
yeah.
they have their own way of planning. Like Hookup plan scanned all the projects from A to Z, going back to the beginning of time.
Right.
Not the minutes, but the projects.
Projects,
You can
right.
see what we're doing.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I think it's worth discussing,
I agree.
in budget discussions on how, but we're gonna need information, we're gonna need pricing.
Right.
You know, that's gonna be the question.
Again, that's why I think Craig has a very, very good background in this and works with other communities and could bring some value, what works, what doesn't work. And we should go forward with his recommendations. So maybe at the next board meeting or closer to the budget, we have him come in and speak to us about
And-
this.
And then one of the other items that's in this list is the official map. Of my understanding, I don't believe the town board has ever established an official map.
I've asked for updated maps, but I don't know if you've ever pointed them as a.
Right, so I've looked in the past and never found an official designation of an official map.
Well, with the exception of the ward system
Right.
map, that established the awards.
Right, but so official map means, it shows up in Article 16 and it refers to streets, parks, maybe, drainage may be in it as well. But, so basically, any time, and what the official map does is, anytime new parkland is dedicated, it's added to the official map, or a new road is accepted by the town board, it's added to the official map. You can also, one of the issues, Chris, that came up, Lakeside Drive, you know, you can show private roads on the official map, and that's one of the things that, it becomes helpful to show what is a map, an official town road versus a
Oh,
private
I
road.
agree, totally, yeah.
So we have a good start. You know, Jim and I were talking about the need of it. Tim Mood and CPL have done a lot of that work.
Right.
You know,
So, I mean,
already,
we have it, but what's happened is, and there's actually a listing that was created back, I want to say around 2006, for Dutchess County Emergency Services regarding official street names for 911 purposes.
Right.
So that all kind of ties into the official map as well. And, you know, it's something that we can put up on the town website as well. We have the zoning map, but the official map is not the zoning map. They're
Right.
actually statutorily two different things. So that's something that, while we're looking at updating, you know, the record requirements, and one of the things with respect to the planning board and zoning board, you know, as Barbara can tell you, we've got lots of old records that are stored in various places from old files. So one of the things when looking at, you know, putting minutes online, we should try to get some cost estimates. And there was some grant funding that was out there, whether it's still available, to take older planning and zoning board resolutions, site plans, and things like that, and scan them in so that they're more accessible. We have, you know, things that are down in Carnwath, or things that are next door that are not readily accessible to staff or to the public.
Maybe we could utilize some high school students for internships to do this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things.
Volunteers.
Yeah, again, one of the things is, that's particularly for maps, you need scanning equipment to do a map. So.
Well, to scan in the records, which can also have maps, of course.
Right.
We
You know, I
don't-
mean, like I said, there's commercial outfits that will do it, you know, in bulk, and they'll give you a price. based on how much it's,
Okay.
it's done. And what you do is you basically, deliver them by, you have somebody take, the biggest cost is taking the staples out of some of the things. And you,
Do any of the other towns utilize any systems that are very successful that you know of that does this?
Town of LaGrange has, again, they contracted it out, they got a price,
Okay.
and I don't know, Office of General Services for the state may have some vendors that
Maybe the
do it.
county?
Yeah, I've never seen anything on the county website, but we could look.
That would
There
be
are
good.
vendors that, I know the town of LaGrange just did it recently, and basically what it was is you entered into a contract with, and I don't remember if they did it by box or by page.
Well, it'd be good if we could get all
Yeah.
our neighboring towns to do it together and cut down on the cost, because they're gonna have to do it also.
No, they don't, I mean,
They
again,
should.
You,
It would be wise.
and that's one of the things with respect to the requirement for putting meeting minutes online. It doesn't say whether it's historical meeting minutes or meeting minutes going forward, because it doesn't specify, it is, you can make the assumption that it's on a going forward basis, that it doesn't require a municipality to go back and scan minutes, but,
Well, it's a win-win if you do, because you don't have to store them, damage.
right.
They're backed up. Going forward, that's what most businesses do. Instead of keeping them in boxes,
Well,
we should
Right.
really try to move forward.
right.
So I think it's something this board needs to think about and get it done.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to discuss it during budget. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of these laws and requirements that have come up in the last, 18 months, we would have to double our staff in order to meet some of these requirements. Let's face it, we have run a very streamlined operation here. We maintain our storage of our records just as we're required to, and to go back and have to rescan every single record now is going to be a task. I think we can discuss this during budget on what the actual cost will be. I think we have been, since I've been here, and even before that, we've been one of the most transparent towns, and I would challenge anyone to that. We broadcast everything over and over, and we're accessible for whatever people would want to find. That said, with respect to the ordinance book that is indicated here in the discussion, is that the E-Code 360 manual, or what is that?
So with respect to E-codes is actually a codification of
Right.
the local laws. So in addition to that, the municipal home rule law and town law requires that each local law be put into a book.
Right.
I believe under state IT law, it can be kept, electronically, but, ordinances, since I've been here, the town has not adopted an ordinance. I don't believe the town's adopted an ordinance since 1990.
Yeah.
Since the 90s, but for purposes of local laws, they have to be filed with the Secretary of State in Albany, and then they also have to be filed in a local law book within the town clerk's office as well. So would be filed, numerically, sequentially, whereas E-codes is a code, so it's in essence by subject.
Okay.
So the requirement, technically, we don't have a requirement to have it codified. The only requirement under law is that the local laws be filed in a local law book.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Okay. The last item for discussion, which will be brief, is this week, we want to recognize our seniors. I have a resolution later on. We had a senior breakfast today at the senior center, well attended. I believe we've also gotten, 6 new members, just,
We have had, we just texted Donna for it.
yeah.
We have had 17 new members in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, and today, though, we got even a few more, so the seniors, I read them this resolution, assuming we would, pass it, so when we come to the resolution, then I'll introduce it. Thank you.
Why don't we just do the resolution now? You just finished, unless you want to go in order.
Huh?
So why don't you just do the resolution now? You just finished up the Wappinger Senior, so just read it into
Oh,
the
okay.
resolution if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
129?
Later on, yeah, it's later on, but that's fine. This is Resolution 2022-129, proclaiming August 21st through August 27th, 2022, Older Americans Week in the town of Wappinger. I'll read it for the record. Whereas in the town of Wappinger, we honor our town seniors and the tremendous impact they have made in helping to make Wappinger a better place in which to live. And whereas older Americans have contributed their time, energy, lives, and wisdom to make Wappinger stronger, more informed, and better connected. And whereas during the pandemic, many of our seniors came out of retirement to serve Wappinger in healthcare and education roles, filling job vacancies in critical shortage areas. And whereas we celebrate their achievements and commit to providing our elders with the support and services they need to thrive and age with dignity. And whereas our senior club has now over 100 active members and increasing regularly. And whereas these senior members, center members, have contributed to their time and energy to beautify the grounds of Town Hall, volunteer at town events, and have worked to support each other through their kindness and friendship. Whereas the town board is committed to supporting the community-wide services for all our residents, encouraging all town residents to demonstrate compassion, highlighting how important senior services are, and supporting resources that enrich the lives of Wappinger's elderly population. Now, therefore, the town of Wappinger proclaims August 21st through August 22nd, 2022 as Older Americans Week in the town of Wappinger, and therefore, during our Older Americans Week, let us pay tribute to the seniors who raised and guided us throughout our lives, and let us renew our commitment to honoring their contributions by giving them the fullest care, support, and respect they deserve. And therefore, we call upon all people in Wappinger to celebrate our older adults for their contributions, support their independence, and recognize their unparalleled value to our community all year long, but especially during Older American Week. In the witness thereof, the supervisor of the town of Wappinger is authorized to set his hand and the town seal to this resolution and all copies thereof this 22nd day of August in the year of our Lord 2022, and to provide to each our senior center members an official copy of this resolution and to post publicly as appropriate.
So I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. And thanks again to our seniors.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolutions section, following that resolution, then is Resolution 2022-123. This is a resolution authorizing a contract to pressure wash courts. Al, do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, so I think last time we talked about this, we were looking for other vendors that could potentially do this. I think, Tim, you were looking at somebody else that could potentially do it, and Steve.
Yeah, I connected them with Steve. I don't know if they work.
Because the only one we had was the $10,000 price tag. We kind of thought last time that was a little too expensive. So we wanted to try to go out, and I think Councilman Beal and Councilwoman Bettina said we should look at other vendors. So I thought you were going to do that. So if we haven't done that yet, then I think we need to make a motion to table it, but I'll wait for Steve to.
I started vacation Friday of last week until this coming Friday. And I saw in my email that I did get the response from the second vendor. The second vendor is recommending that the older four-court tennis courts be resurfaced rather than cleaned. The surface there is well worn beyond its expected life expectancy. And that's what this estimate that I got from him is entail. I haven't had an opportunity to look at it yet, but I would have that for you at the next meeting.
Did you reach out to any other towns to see how
That was the
they?
only other one that I could come up with. I did reach out to some other townships. They have the same problem in trying to find it and haven't been able to address it.
So they didn't tell us what they're doing with their courts?
They haven't been able to address it.
So the one thing we can do, I think that they asked for, is if you can cut some of the branches off from the back.
And
by
we
the
did
back.
that.
Okay, so we took care of that.
Right.
Okay.
In doing some research, I think the supervisor read it as well, everybody recommends not to pressure wash these courts.
Yeah.
They said to use solvents.
Destroy them.
And if that court is that bad, it only makes sense that if they pressure wash it, you're gonna lose the court.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, if it's dry rotted or whatever, so I think maybe we can just take a look again.
It's paper thin right now, there's a lot of rusting
Yeah.
spots in the court itself, bunch
They
of,
A lot of
It's
spots that
useful
are
life,
worn
so-
through as well.
yeah, so they're all coming through, so it's at a point where,
Yes.
Development here. I actually had a meeting with someone from the U.S. Tennis Association last week, and she was discussing different grants. We were talking more about programming grants and things like that, but they do have capital improvement grants. So if you give me till the next meeting, I will reach out to them about some of their court surfacing grants and things. So,
It's fair enough.
That's perfect.
Sure.
yeah,
that
that's
out.
exactly what we want to do,
Yeah,
pursue those grants.
yeah.
Because it's going to be expensive. I think, Tim, you had quoted a price of 100,000 plus to replace. It's a big
That would be
expense
good.
at this point in time.
Yeah, we do a lot of school work, and they have generally a court 10 to 12-year life expectancy. And I think at the last meeting, everybody thought, yeah, it was way
I
longer
think
than
we're
that.
close to 20 years on
Yeah, so
on
I
that
mean,
one.
it's,
Yeah.
It's
Right,
tough,
doesn't-
probably, you know, it's.
I mean, I'm used to schools with big budgets, and when it hits that 10 to 12-year time, they're like, okay, let's do something, but, you know. It was Craftco, correct? The guy from Craftco?
Correct,
Yeah.
right.
So the same one at the Challenger Field? Craft,
No.
I don't believe so.
Yes, it is.
Is it the
Same
same
one.
agency?
yes.
Okay.
Be interesting to see what Cross Court does with their courts, how they maintain them.
I think those are interior courts, aren't they?
No, they have exterior. So if you could just reach out to them too, that would be good.
So can we reach out to Cross Court and a few others just to see, because, you know, the board last time said 10,000 is a lot of money, and to replace
Right.
it's even more. So,
Yeah.
you know, rather than spend the money right now or make the motion go through, let's do a little more research on it.
So I have
I'll
a
reach
motion.
out to some people that I know also.
And hopefully Jessica comes up with some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get that.
Grant money?
That would be good.
Okay.
What was the estimate for the resurfacing?
I think
We-
100.
I haven't opened it up yet.
Tim came up with a ballpark last time.
They
about
said over
100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah, I mean, that was just
At
spitballing
least.
an order of magnitude, it was like, what'd I say, 140,000,
least.
somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Because you gotta look at it like, is it cracked? If it's cracked now, you're not just scraping off the surface, you're
No.
probably milling the whole thing, putting fresh asphalt down.
The more we look into this, the higher the price gets every
Oh, yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
It's on you now.
There you
Good
go.
luck.
Yeah.
While we're on the tennis courts, the pickleball nets arrived, and I did get those installed.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
That's good. Thanks.
Kyle? Okay.
Okay.
So we're
motion to table.
tabling this.
So I guess we're going to motion to table.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed to table. Next resolution is 2022-125, resolution authorizing application for a grant under the Water Infrastructure Improvements Act for United Wappinger Sewer District Route 9 expansion. This is as Tim had discussed earlier.
I move it.
Second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Next resolution is 2022-126, resolution authorizing application for a grant under the Water Infrastructure Improvements Act for United Wappinger Water District Route 9 expansion.
I'll move it.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Then the companion resolution, Jim, will be a motion for call a special meeting on September 6th at 7 o'clock here in the Town Hall.
I should be there.
What's the day of the week?
Tuesday.
It's right after Memorial,
Labor Day.
Labor Day. I wish it was Memorial Day.
Is there a resolution or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not a written
Well,
resolution.
not written
Not for the
resolution.
September 6th.
Oral.
one, so-
Does anyone have an objection to September 6th?
I don't.
No.
It's 7 o'clock
Yeah.
for the purposes of this particular discussion
Yeah.
only.
Yep.
Right.
I'll
Yes.
move it.
Second.
I
Motion
should be there.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. Next item is Resolution 2022-127, resolution authorizing the settlement of tax certiorari proceedings regarding Wappinger Shopping Center LLC. Jim, introduce it.
So this is a resolution, it's three assessment years, 2020, 2021, 2022, for Wappinger Shopping Center LLC, which is Hannaford's. The assessment is 13, for all 3 years was 13,104,000. And there's reductions reduction amount for 2020 of 916,000, 2021, 3.4 million, and 2022, 2.9 million. And there is the town in the special districts, there is no financial refund from them, so it would basically be the school district.
Jim, with the, we know there's also a lot of building going on over there. Will this be revisited next year?
Yes, so basically every time a new C of O issues, it would get reassessed,
Okay.
so.
Do we know why the second property went up from 312 to 650 and then back down to 312 again?
I believe that's probably an error.
Okay. Because otherwise it would be flat for the,
Right.
20 through 22.
Right.
And again, as Councilman Phillips said, 2022, so again, with the 4 new businesses going on, it'll be reassessed in 2023?
So the 2022 roll is based on a valuation date of July 1, 2021.
Okay, so they're a year behind.
Right.
That's a pretty considerable reduction for 2022.
And it's 22%.
Right.
It's a lot.
I mean, this is a tax cert, so there's nothing we can do about this. It's a court action, but again, this is something that I really pay close attention to on these large commercial parcels. 1498 Route 9 is the building that used to have Chen Young in it, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So there's nothing in that except for that bank, Trusco, I think it
Yes,
is.
that's right.
Right? And then the main plaza itself, we're hearing is got some incoming businesses, which is good, but that's still a big hit to take prior to a reassessment. Again, we don't have any,
Choice.
we don't have any ability to make any changes here, but we are watching very closely. I'll move that we accept this.
A second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. The next resolution is Resolution 2022-128. This is a resolution introducing proposed local law 6 entitled, quote, "A local law amending the town zoning map for the purpose of rezoning a property from the R40 to the R80 zoning district," close quote. This is what we had heard John talk about earlier.
I'll make that motion. I just want to make sure that to the councilman's comments earlier about any cleanup or, make sure the wording is in there correctly.
Restoration.
Yeah, restoration bond.
So that's the requirement of the special permit,
Okay.
so under the code.
I'll second.
So
second
just one question. So this only affects this one particular property? It's nothing
Correct.
else, right?
Correct.
So there's not any other, if you change this, you change 2 or 3 other properties?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I mean,
And
we,
this property abuts Cranberry. So Cranberry is R80.
80 already on the backside.
So this is extending the existing R80 district to cover this property?
Right, I think, it should be clear that the reason why we're entertaining this particular change is for the purposes of facilitating
Solar power.
this type of innovative approach, which we've heard a number of presentations on this, and this is just me speaking for myself. I think that this is an opportunity for us to facilitate a solar agrivoltaic approach that is not common at the moment, but I think it may be more common moving forward. And basically, for folks that don't know what I'm talking about, these are solar panels that are higher in the air to facilitate the use of the agricultural soils beneath it. So that's why I'm supporting this.
And they have a special type of panel that also absorbs from the ground and the ground heat,
And
and
the
they
panels,
rotate.
the panels are going to be moving as the sun moves
Right.
throughout the year, which I think is important.
So the other issue too is, R40 is basically a residential zone.
Right.
R80 is a less dense residential zone, but also a good portion of some of the agricultural properties in the town are zoned R80. So, and I believe this property has been added to the ag district in recent years, so, which it was not at the time. It was not an ag district property at the time it was made R40.
So this is 1 acre zoning going to 2 acre zoning, is that is R40 to
Yes.
40? Okay.
Yeah. 80,000 square
And
feet.
this is unique too, because this is also farmland, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So in essence, it's, intended to maintain it as a farm use.
Right.
That's it.
Motion.
Oh, yeah, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed.
And just for the record, the resolution calls for a public hearing on at the September 26th town board meeting.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. Next item would be items for special consideration, new business. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, so there's,
Go ahead, Al.
sorry. So there's one thing I wanted to talk about. Somebody brought it up earlier about and maybe Bill, it was you talking about the Robinson Lane fences, but what we like to do, and I'm not sure the procedure, but we got some bids that came back. There was 4 bids. They're significantly higher than bids we received previously. And so what we like to do is go out for rebids. So I don't know if we have to cancel the bids we did before and do a resolution to rebid. How does that work, Jim?
Yeah, so that's how you would do it. You would just motion to reject all the bids that we received. One of the other options, though, is that, in order, if you're looking at staying within the financial limitations that were previously imposed, you may want to bid it so that each field is an alternate, so that you have the ability to pick which fields get fences if you exceed the limit. It was bid previously kind of as all or nothing, and there was no ability to reduce it. So my suggestion would be if you rebid it, you bid each field as an alternative. So if the bids come back higher than the budget that's allowed, you can knock off the less needful fence replacements.
So we need the priority as the base bid, right? We can talk.
So I'm just wondering how long that process is going to take, because we've got to go back to probably Little League. Say, okay, if you had to prioritize, which ones would you do? I don't know, Steve, if you know that? Did they give the Little League, when we did the walkthrough, did they do prioritization of what fields they wanted done specifically? Because the proposal now is to, do individual pricing, so in case we exceed, we might be able to take a fence or 2 out of different fields. Maybe not have the work done.
Originally, we had, the original time we quoted it, that put us up over the threshold, we had done a progressive type of bid like you're speaking of. But at the time, I thought the decision had been made to do the total job, and that is where we got into having to go out to the public bid. You could do it progressively, but I would think you'd still be required to go to public bid.
There was one field that I believe the estimate on that field was above 35,000, so I can't recall which field it was, but one of the fields was over the threshold by itself. So, but, and what the competitive bidding requires is that you're going to, utilize a vendor for more than $35,000 in aggregate for the year. It's subject to competitive bidding. So in essence, if you're going to bid one, you might as well bid them all, or do them.
Also,
all the time.
one consideration too, with that progressive quote that we had, there was a substantial savings
We're
In
doing
that,
more.
written into the quote, where if you accepted the entire quote, I believe it was almost a 10% discount on the
So I
entire
think
job.
we ought to do is get a bid for the entire amount, and then what we can do is go back, maybe work with, well, I can see if there's things we can take out and work with the vendor and see what the pricing is, but let's see what the total price is. Hopefully it's gonna come in
Well, we'll
less
bid the whole
expensive.
thing. It's just the way we'll do it.
Well, I mean, you could also do it as you could either do it as add-alts or deduct-alts.
Yeah, but I mean, it helps to know what the core priority is, just
Right.
the worker, that's all. And then everything else.
No, we had a bid out there, or actually a quote. We didn't actually have a bid per se, and so we had to go through the bid process. But we had somebody that was willing to do it within, I think, 10K of what we authorized. But because we have to go through the bid process, because of the 35K for the one, it says you can't accept that quote. And so that's why we are where we are today. So, what do you think?
Reject the bids, we'll retool the bid package, put it back out on the street.
Okay,
It's all digital.
That's the best
Fair
thing
enough.
to do.
do we need a resolution to do that, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion that we reject the prior bid and go out and rebid and be more inclusive of one of the vendors that we didn't include in the original bid.
Second.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Any other
Thank
new
you.
business? Any other new business? now?
Yes.
Bill?
Are you done?
Yeah.
I was asking, do you have any more, Al, or are you
Now,
good?
the only other thing I would say is, with the quote, can you try to get it back in a reasonable amount of time? Like, maybe by September 26th?
Well, we generally want to get it out there for about 3 weeks, so.
Okay.
Gotta put the letters of rejection out. Maybe it'll go out at the end of this week or early part of next week.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Sorry.
So real quick, there was a time, and Jimmy just reminded me, back in '06, when 911 needed the private road names, there was a time where the private roads had a specific design for their street signs that were the opposite colors of
Correct.
what we have for our public roads. Over the years, for whatever reason, those private road signs have varied in different locations. Randolph Avenue, which happens to be Randolph School, is brown and white, I believe. Alpine Drive, which is Montclair, is brown. Lauren Way, which is across the street from Randolph, is white and green. I had a medical call the other night where cross streets were not easy to identify because there's so many variations. So I think what we should do, I'll talk to the highway superintendent first because he's probably needs to be involved in this. I think we really need to make sure we specify what the private road signs need to look like. And when it went into effect in '06, there was a whole process by which the property owner had to install it and all that. But I think offline, we need to have this conversation because we may have to go back, and I have no objection if the town pays to standardize these signs, because from a public safety perspective, we can't have some that are 4 feet off the ground, some that are 6 feet off the ground. This one's on this corner, this one's over here. We got to really make an effort to do that. And also, I'd like to see those signs say private road on them, because now with GPS technology, people are going down private roads. So, go ahead.
So that's covered by the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices.
Okay.
There was an amendment recently.
Well, they amended it and then they changed it back. Remember, they went from like a 3-inch letter to like a 6-inch letter, and then they reverted back to the
Right,
3-inch
it
letter.
depends on speed.
Yeah.
But one of the things they have, and if you drive down, you can actually see them on Middlebush Road, because the county put them on.
Right.
The new requirement under the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices is an initial capital letter
Right.
and then lowercase letters, which is found to be more readable. So, going forward, and that's one of the things, so there's that issue. They also restricted the number of colors that are permitted.
Right.
Private, the abbreviation PVT is pretty much, I believe that's the standard.
So whatever it is, I just want to loop the town board in, make sure you don't have any objection if I work on this with the town attorney and the highway superintendent so that we can standardize this. It's time to really make sure that they're all the same, because
Because
it's confusing.
right now in our highway specifications, which are from 1986, what's specified is not, also, and again, sign heights as well.
Yeah.
The sign heights are regulated as well by the manual and uniform traffic control devices. And that becomes an issue. Now, the other issue too is with respect to any signs, this is one of my pet peeves, is tree trimming in front of signs.
Yeah.
Is very lacking in all municipalities. I mean, you're on top of the stop sign before you see it.
Right.
So,
We focused on making sure folks have their street number, right? Because the
Right.
county has a law with regard to street numbers, but the street number is not going to do us any good if we can't see the name of the street.
correct.
And some of the private roads don't show up on GPS, and if you don't see
Right.
the sign, it can be an issue. So just wanted to touch on that real quick, if the board, just make sure you're
No
okay
problem.
with
We
looking
got
at
it.
Yeah, no
that.
objections.
Good idea.
We're already almost in September, which is a very busy month for everyone. The Town of Wappinger First Responder Awards should be on the first Sunday following 9/11. 9/11 is going to be on Sunday, September 11th. I just want to make sure the town board is looped in on September 18th, 2022, 6 p.m., Town of Wappinger First Responder Awards here at the Town Hall. The September 11th ceremony is obviously Sunday, September 11th at 8:30 a.m. at the Palmetier Park. Those are standard times, same as we've always done, and it seems to work out for all parties involved. So I just want to make sure no one has an objection to that, so that we can move forward with that.
I think that's fine.
And that is all I have. Thank you.
I believe they're on the website, too. I believe they are. If they're not, they should
They're
be.
not yet, but I wanted to make sure the town board had
Right, I have no
knowledge
problems
of it
at all.
first. We'll make sure it goes up. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we have a motion to acknowledge the correspondence log.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. We have a motion to go into executive
I'll
session.
move it.
Second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
So
Aye.
reasons for executive session are attorney-client advice and also an issue regarding potential employee discipline.
Okay. Motion, no, we
think
approved
we
it?
did it.
Okay. Very good.
He just needed to say why.